most been doing since, and how do they do business and so forth. First, I'd like to tell you about our event in December. It's going to be on the 12th of December, so 12/12/12, it's easy to remember. It's going to be in Painobar here in the Helsinki Center. And the main speaker is he's an international rock star.
Yes.
No, it's Mikko Hyppönen from F-Secure, and he's going to come in and talk about how governments and sovereigns use software in different ways. Some of them good, some of them bad. And mostly he's going to talk about how they use them in bad ways. And we'll probably have some very interesting commentaries on that as well. So be there. It's going to be a really interesting event in December. And it's something for the hackers to enjoy especially. Not sure about that. We have a short announcement here from the guys who work with data.
Okei, hei, mun nimi on Antti Poikola.
Mä olen Heidi Kähkönen.
Ja meillä on sellainen ilouutinen kaikille, jotka haluaa oppia datajournalismia, että siitä järjestetään kurssi ensi keväänä.
Ja me tässä Antin kanssa kehitellään juuri mahdollisimman hyvää sisältöä sille, ja tässä on jo runko tälle kurssille olemassa. Me pidetään helmimaaliskuussa hieman huhtikuun puolelle ulottuva kurssi, jossa on 10 luentoa, osa etänä, osa paikan päällä tuolla Annonkadulla uusissa tiloissa. Ja kurssille voi osallistua 200 € tai jopa hieman halvennettuun hintaan. Ja
No taustaan siis mä oon itse pitänyt 2 datajournalismin kursseja, jotka on ollut verkkokursseja. Ja nyt kun täällä on uudet tilat Helsingissä, niin on ollut tavallaan toivetta ihmisiltä, että pääsisi ihan kädet savessa. Ja tästä olisi tarkoitus semmoinen maks 20 henkeä mahtuu kurssille ja varmaan jonkun verran on kysyntää, mutta joulukuun alussa avataan siitä ilmoittautuminen ja datajournalismi.fi on se, mistä se löytyy. Ei oteta enempää teidän aikaa tähän asiaan.
vältetään näitä anglismeja, mitä on ihan riittävästi.
Okei, kiitos. Sitten relaa.com. Relaa.com.
Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Antti Laiho. I'm the editor for the website, and Markku is our web guy and also the salesperson. We have multiple roles in our little organization. Oops.
Your whole presentation.
Okay, so one second step. To give you a little understanding what Rela.com is all about, I'm going to tell that, and then Markku is going to tell about the technical part. So Rela is an outdoor sports community online. It started like almost 15 years ago, just as a discussion forum, and stayed like that for more than 10 years. Then in 2010, we formed a little group to develop the community, and we started creating some content and some events for the community. And it has grown pretty nicely. We have about 15,000 registered users and about 70,000 unique visitors per month. And our strategy is that we can't do everything ourselves, so we have to work together with the community. So we have several content areas where we work together. Here's the front page, and as you can see from here, we have the discussions, which is user generated. Could be described as open source as well, since they are creating it and changing it. Then we have a Vuoti shop, which is fairly active. It's also down here, where you can sell your own stuff. Then we have the articles. It's our created content. Then we have Adventures, Safeguard, and Keot piles, which are both user-generated. The Adventures are articles written by our users, and Keot, the piles, are kind of editorial content from the discussion forum. So if you have a good discussion going on for 10 pages, then we just put it all together and help people to get along and join the discussion afterwards. Then we have a theater and the blogs and some events, and they also are something that the community can join. And the sports we cover here are fairly broad. We have a lot of skiing in the winter, then we have climbing, mountain biking, trail running, kayaking, all kinds of stuff. And then we have some also the lifestyle surrounding all these sports. It's covered there. But I won't talk any more about the content, so I'll just let Markku tell about the technical side.
Sorry, can you just tell? Are like guys employed there, or?
Actually, we have one person working since last Wednesday. Markku is the first one, and on 15th he started working for a little company. And all the rest of us, we are 7 people behind the company, and 4 of us are actually doing the daily work. But all of us have some other profession as well, except him now. He's working full time for Ela, and the rest 3 of us, actually we all are journalists, and he's our tech guy and the business guy.
So yeah, currently we are not paying for the journalistic content, but I guess that even the journalists are somehow paid in the means of projects and events, so everybody involved is actually being paid every now and then somehow. But the way that we currently pay is not the content of the journalistic articles. Unfortunately, but I guess that we are even trying in the future. We are trying the methods of paying for the content and for the articles.
At the moment, it's mostly the owners who are writing the articles. So by the end of the year, we'll see how much money we have on our account, and then we can split a little bit. But actually, as Markku said, the events are better business at the moment. That's where we get some money for ourselves as well. We are creating more, but at the moment the biggest ones are Bicycle Film Festival, which we are hosting in the summer. It's about 4 days of bicycle films. Then we have Helsinki Adventure Night, which is one night of mainly climbing movies. And then we had Vapaa-lasku-iltamat, a free ski movie event and a party. That's the last one we had. It was in the beginning of November, and we had 1,200 people there at Vanha. So the events are working out pretty nicely.
And they are content, and as we think they are pretty journalistic also. We have the high quality movies that we try to source for the festivals. But then the project and actually the how is this done? First of all, we are based on open source solutions, Drupal and SMF, and well, as we see that we could use any of those pretty well-known open source solutions. It just happened that we have Drupal and we have SMF. The one reason for us is that we have been here discussing a lot about the journalists and the kind of employees and what we need and what are the needs of us. But you have to remember that we are based on an old community that had 14,000 members already when we kind of joined in. So we can basically forget about the journalists and the employees and think only of the users and the community. So we basically had to choose the tool that the community was already using. It's just something that we couldn't change at that moment. We would have lost all of the base work that was done in 10 years in learning people to use that one software which they used in their forum, which was the SMF. What we have found out and what we found out in the early stages of the project was that basically it's very important to make it work, and you have to be fast so that you otherwise you just keep on going and developing and nothing will be never ready. But even if you just make it work and you make it fast, you don't have to hurry in the means of open source technologies. So don't take the latest technologies, don't wait for the next ones. Take the one that is already been on the market for a while. There's a big difference when we had a big project of making the new Rela.com that was some 1.5 1.5 years ago in the summer of 2011, and the Drupal 7 had been published something like 3 months or 4 months before that. And actually the Drupal 7 at that moment was kind of pain in the ass. And now 1.5 years later, it's actually a pleasure to work with the Drupal 7. There's so much more ready, enough ready modules that you can use. You can think of any features. They are pretty easy to use and have on your site. But Drupal 7 has been almost 2 years on the market, so you don't have to worry with the technologies. They will be better. Just remember, you don't have to use the oldest ones, but don't run into the latest ones too early. And the important thing about in developing with a limited budget, which is probably the situation in Finland with most of the sites, is that you have to cooperate with the semi-volunteers. And in our case, it means that the most important tools that we used in the big projects have been like, I think the most important tools have been mountain bikes, because the developers of the user interface and the logo were mountain bikers. Of course, the skis and snowboards, because the entire team is based on skis and snowboards. I think there have been some climbing ropes used in getting people involved in the project. So we have to use the semi-volunteers. We don't use very much volunteers, because even if we don't pay ourselves, we usually pay for the people that do projects for us. If they really develop something for us, we pay them. But all of the people that have been paid have been part of our community. They have been outdoor sports enthusiasts or members of the community, and that's very important in trying to make it with a low budget. Find your community and use that community as a tool, but don't use them too much. Don't use them as volunteers. Pay them, but you will be so that you will pay less than you would pay for the professionals outside your community. And then, as we are using the Drupal, we are using the open source technologies. You have to remember that it's not a key for a total happiness or avoiding all the budgets. Currently, our situation is that if we think of the technical costs that we have to pay, something that we can't live without. Even if we develop some small features, we have to use money, and we have the budget for that. And currently the situation is that because we have used only free technologies, we have to pay pretty high price for the technologies. In our case, it's because we actually have to have two separate systems. The one was used by the community, it was used by the users, and it's liked by the users. They don't want to live without it right now. Maybe in the future, but not right now. The other technology is something that we as journalists and the makers of the site need. And the current situation is that if we had only Drupal, if we had only SMF, we could develop any kind of features, any kind of functionalities with just hours of work. Drupal is in good situation. It's only a matter of hours or days to make nice features. SMF is easy because there's not much you can do. But when you have two systems and you have to somehow make them live together, it's something that takes a lot of work. We are using currently 85% of the time that the coders or the programming takes in the integration, in making the system that users want to have talk with the system that the developers want to have. So it's something that you have to remember, that even if you are using the free solutions, even if you are using the open source solutions, at the end it might mean that you actually have to use a lot of work to make them work. Yes, please.
Yeah, can you just open what is SMF?
SMS is, I think it's one of top 3 or top 4 forum discussion softwares or platforms. There's PHP, BB, and there's SMF and vBulletin. So and as it was mentioned here that you can do, it's often said by the Drupal community that you can do everything with the Drupal, but that's one of the examples that only the discussion forum for the community, it's something that is very basic. In the means of technology, it's very basic, but still Drupal has been here for like almost, can you say it's more than 5 years, maybe closer to 10 years, and still there is no good forum discussion platform based on Drupal. You have to use like very old systems like SMF or PHP, VB or vBulletin to give your users a true community or discussion forum.
One of the examples of the integration problems is that when our users come on the site, they don't need to know if they are on the Drupal side or the SMF side. So like the sign-in process, when you sign in on the Drupal side, so we had to integrate that. We can actually do that.
Yeah, we have the problems. I think that like the online banking systems have similar problems with the multiple sessions and session handling, and we are already having that, and we are only a small community-based online media. So you can run into that kind of problems easily if you just choose the free solutions, and if you never have the budgets to really. And in small markets like Finland, and in the Finland, the small communities like some sport enthusiasts, you will never ever have the budget for building everything from the scratch again. You always have to go on with the systems that are there already.
Just a question about Drupal. How if you were someone in this room was thinking about like putting up a site like that's centered on a hobby or whatever, like a pastime like yours or Origami in Finland, or like a small site around an issue like My Little Ponies or whatever. So how many hours would you say that it took to build a site that's as functional as yours, so you can publish articles, and how many hours of work have you put in it?
I think that currently we would build our site. Our site it's pretty complicated. It's one of those things that I want to discuss is that, as you mentioned, that there is no solution that already suits your needs. And it's the same with us, that if you think of the communities, nowadays it wouldn't be ready if you would only have a discussion forum or if you would only have journalistic articles. We also need those commercial things like second-hand shop for outdoor equipment. We have the rental service for outdoor equipment, things like that. So it's pretty complicated, and it's absolutely impossible to think that there would be a ready-made solution for any community, because all the communities have different needs. So I think, in my opinion, Drupal is one of the best platforms for building from the scratch everything that your community and your users need. And I would say that it's close to 100 hours that would be enough in the means of programming itself. But it should be so that you can, if you would build your new enterprise from the scratch, the amount that you need for the programming shouldn't be the majority of the costs. You should be able to nowadays make your site so that you use as much time and money for the design and things like that, and not only the technology, if you make it from scratch. So we are talking about 2 or 3 weeks of the hardcore programming. And about the open source community, in our case, it's very important for us to have the Drupal community. And I think it's okay to live like we are living, that we use the community, we download a lot of modules, we use them, but we are not part of the community, to be honest. We never upload any modules. We haven't done anything that unique or that high quality programming that we would really like to upload to the Drupal site and let others use. And it's realistic. There's probably majority of the site managers are like us, that they use the community they use a lot of ready-made work, but they don't really participate in the development. And it's probably, at least in Finland, it's the fact when you have the language barrier and things like that. But it should be said that in my opinion, it's okay, you know.
When you will, you guys get big and you will start to create better modules and things like that. I mean, I'm sure that that's part of the growth cycle as well.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. And we are doing a lot of like copy pasting, so that we take our ready-made modules that I like, that I'm good at, then we just copy. And that's why the open source community is very important for us, because now we can know. Anyway, we have kind of already a business-related side. We have customers. We already have a turnover and things like that. And we couldn't risk our site. We couldn't risk our community, and we couldn't risk our business on copyright issues. So now the open source community is very important, because now we know that even if we copy paste a lot of code, even if we use a lot of modules, but we still don't give anything to the community, still in the means of legal issues, we are okay. We have the copyrights. We already make sure that all the modules that we are used are allowed up for us, that we are allowed to use them, we are allowed to modify them, and that's something that is very important for us. So even if we are not participating in the means of giving something to the open source community, the open source community is very important for us.
As a journalist, would you say that you need to have a tech guy like him to put this together? Yeah.
Yeah, we can't buy all the things he do. So his wife is lending us his time a little bit.
but you have to remember that we are living the year 2012, which means that the tech guy in our project is, I have a business training. I'm an MBA in marketing. I have never been trained in programming. I have been interested in that, but still the tech guy doesn't have to be a hardcore tech guy. If you are having a site with a kind of pretty normal request and it's not that unique, still everything that we have, the discussions, the journalistic content, second-hand marketplace, those are things that are already in there somehow. So it would be different if we would be developing something that it would be absolutely new. But now that we are using features that have already been developed, even a guy with a marketing business training can be the tech guy.
Then on the other hand, like me as a journalist, I have to think of the financial side as well. And like when we are organizing the events, we are selling the tickets ourselves. We have a module, so we used to sell the tickets through other partners, like other websites or shops or whatever. But now we are selling them ourselves to get the traffic to our site and get as much of the money to ourselves as we can. And that's something I wouldn't know where to start to build a little shop module for our website, and that's where he comes in. That's easy.
Probably the only open source thing that we haven't found or used, and I think we tried to find but we didn't find, is the event tickets themselves. We have to use the semi-open source things but we are paying for the software solutions that makes the tickets for the events, that the tickets that have the QR codes, or actually for the software that can read the QR codes at the door at the event door. But all the other technology is 100% open source.
Any other questions?
I'm kind of interested about your background. You mentioned that you're not really the hardcore tech guy. So, like, at what point did you realize that you have the magical skills of writing with Drupal and all this?
I think that it takes an interest. You have to be somehow interested in programming. But if you have the interest, then it can happen, as it happened with me, that it's a slow process. Working in, for example, in IT business without doing any programming. But if you are interested in that and you work there for 10 years, then you find out that you probably are doing some programming projects on your own at your home or something like that. And that's what happened with me. But I've always said that it's, of course I'm saying that because I have done the learning of the basic programming, but in my opinion, if you think of the businessmen and journalists, I think the basic programming skills are something that you should compare to the basic citizenship skills. Well, if you are living in 21st century, you should be able to do some basic programming to be able to live in this society.
All right. Yeah, Doug?
You have 14,000 community members?
Plus 15,000, yes. It's Finland.
Do you have a community manager, or do you do it all without a manager, or how do you handle that size of community? I mean, for example, like you're doing outdoor sports, right? How do you keep the skiers from flaming the snowboarders?
We are using probably something like 20% of the time that we use for the Rela.com goes for the maintenance of the community, moderation and things like that. So, but it's not. We don't have a manager. It's some shared deal. We all have to take our part of that.
But then we have some community members doing that as well. So
yeah,
they are
moderators of the.
You guys are using 777, I think.
Yes.
So I mean, when and probably 777 as well will have some kind of a discussion platform which you see as good enough at some points, or maybe it will be 888.
It's amazing how difficult it has been in the Drupal community to develop a forum, discussion forum module. So yes, there's this advanced forum module which the community has decided not to develop anymore, and then there's the next version of that module which has been in the same status for almost a year, and the status is that nothing to be published yet. I will have the developer said that I will have more time for this in the future, and the future is always somewhere ahead.
I thought it interesting. I mean, for example, Suomi 24 is I think fully on Drupal nowadays, and that's basically a discussion forum, right?
Yeah.
So, but they still they don't.
Yeah, I think that they are using the old version of the module that was best for that. But we have the problem with our community is that it has been there for 10 years.
Yeah.
So
you don't want
they have been using for years and years. They have been using these dedicated forum softwares, and even the most advanced modules for Drupal don't have every single features of those dedicated forum softwares. And in our case, because the users have been using them so long, we should get a huge amount of negative feedback if we would stop having one single small feature.
Yeah. So basically, that's my question actually. That like if that kind of like nice platform comes out, are you going to ship to it, or are you going to stick with it?
Of course, we don't.
I'm looking at the cost side. You have like the community being pissed off, and then
jumping, making a 100-hour project for jumping into that new Drupal forum would be definitely good for us. We would save tens of hours of programming in every single feature development in the future. 3 or 4 single small feature development things after that, and already we would have saved more than 100 hours. The integration between SMF and Drupal is so difficult and such a pain in the ass.
All right. Thanks very much for Antti and Markku. And we give the stage to Tiia-Mari from the Uutisraivaja Innovation Contest, and she will tell you what exactly you have to do to get free